Hello and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I thought I would do some sketching of Spider-Man, or many Spider-Men. I wasn't quite in the mood to do a full finished piece. I hadn't really had any ideas, so I decided it would kind of be fun to be a little bit more creative and also practice using my gouache more. The fun thing about sketchbook sessions is you can also be a little bit more free and then not worry so much about mistakes. So I had already sketched out a few poses and stuff like that. Most of them are kind of inspired by a few scenes from different movies, like this one in particular with the drink. I think it was some random background Spider-Man struggling to drink a drink with a straw because he didn't take his mask off. I thought it was just too funny. I find I enjoy using Faber-Castell the most because they've kind of got that right type of hardness when it comes to pencil crayons, and they don't dissolve, because I'm not really that much of a fan of using, Prismacolor, totally forgot, just because it kind of has that pencil crayon-y texture when you're giving the lines, and I really like when lines are very smooth and clean. Even though this is not going to be the final line art, I don't want the lines to be like too chunky, even with the pencil crayon, and to really show through in the end. I am using like a mixed media paper sketchbook, so there is like a little bit of tooth to it, so you know, softer lead pencil crayons easily will give that sort of more textury stuff. And I'm never really a fan of burnishing just because it hurts my wrist easily. So as you can see, I start right away with the gouache, considering where the lighting is coming from. So I've seen artists in the past when they're painting Spider-Man, they used yellow as the light color to use on the suit. I thought this was a very cool and interesting way to actually color Spider-Man. Almost gives him more dimension. It kind of gives like a warm, friendly vibe, which is kind of accurate to the character, actually. I forget what exactly the technique is called when you're, I suppose, using, if there is a specific name for it, when you're using like very bright colors or something like that, that's like very unrealistic, but like very stylistic type of shading, I guess you could say. So for the shadows, I'm also mixing in an ultramarine blue. So essentially, it's mostly like warm primary colors I'm using for the red parts, except there is a little bit of the like lemon yellow as the shadow, and then I use the warm yellow as well, transitioning in. I tried to actually sneak in some of the magenta color at some points or something like that, but it wasn't really working out, and because the flame red is so intense, it just didn't quite mix in. I did some experiments like before, and it also kind of blended in. I suppose if I had a more neon pink or something like that, it would have worked out. So I perhaps will venture into getting that kind of pink. Just because I totally also saw some artists using some neons and mixing and shading, so that was also an inspiration. My brain right now is blanking on any artist names on that stuff, unfortunately. But I'm sure you've seen a lot of cool techniques out there as well. So if you were wondering what brand gouache I was using, it is Holbein. I only have basically warm primaries and cool primaries that I bought though from Holbein, so it's like lemon yellow, a warm type of yellow, flame red, a magenta color, a more kind of a cerulean blue, which I only now discovered does actually have white mixed into it, so that's why on occasion I've realized some stuff might be muddy with that one, and ultramarine. I just couldn't resist it with the other blue. Yeah, the turquoise blue specifically. Now I've picked out these colors, but you can actually buy, I did see a set of, I think, primaries. I'm not sure if it has both warm and cool, but yeah. They are very nice to work with, and they're very high pigmented. Like, the red is crazy how much it pops. For Holbein, I only have 6 colors, I believe. Sort of like the cool primaries and the warm primaries, just because it is very pricey to buy Holbein in Canada. It's insane. I am excited to go to Japan, and hopefully I will snag an entire set from there. More options. The rest of the colors I do have happen to be just random pickups. Like I was in Montreal and there was, I believe, yeah, Mgram, went to grab it. Mgram, Payne's Gray, and Phthalo green. Yeah, that's the one. I want to say the whole full phthalo word or something. Phthalocyanine or something. I'm butchering that, but it's too long and I'm too lazy to figure out how to pronounce that right now. But yeah, you get the point. I bought those two colors just as like nice darker colors because it was still a little bit hard to mix like very blackish kind of colors, and I did not get a black gouache. I kind of am sticking to the traditional roots most of the time when I'm doing kind of more painterly stuff like this, where I don't use like solid black unless it's like line art itself, just because I don't want to muddy up the colors or anything like that. And I find it's just a lot nicer when you're mixing the shadows or mixing the very dark colors with like opposites and stuff like that. Just it turns out nicer. Nothing wrong with using black as the shadow one. I just find it pops so much more. I also have like a couple of premixed. Oh, and I think a burnt sienna might be another color that I got. I'm not sure if I got it for Holbein or something else, but I just happened to get it just because on occasion it's easier to mix burnt sienna and a little bit of white or another color just for like different skin tones on the fly. But in the end, I always end up mixing the primaries for skin tones, as there's I can't remember what the artist is, but she's a reason why I even got Holbein in the first place. And basically, I think getting the same colors as her. If I remember, I will mention it, but I forget now. So yeah, as I said, I wanted to keep this very fun and not too intense. Or like super detailed or anything like that. And that's kind of why I went with Spider-Man, just because I was also uninspired with what to draw, so Spider-Man's kind of my go-to. And for this one in the corner, I just thought of that like No Way Home scene where he gets like splat. I think it was like with some weird green goopy shit or something. I don't know what it was. It's been a while since I watched that movie, but I just remember he was like covered in that, so I thought it would be kind of funny to have a version of that. That one corner also was feeling a little empty, so I decided to just have another pigeon and they're also coming at him. The idea of the pigeon ones is I always see artworks with the Spider-Man flying between the pigeons kind of thing and startling them. So I thought it'd be kind of funny if one was just landing on his head while he was kind of tired or something, or not really observant that day, and then it just happened to surprise him for once, as opposed to pigeons getting surprised by Spider-Man, I imagine, all the time in New York City while he's swinging around. Not sure if anybody else has a go-to brush that they use for when they use gouache. For me, I just happen to use my watercolor brushes and just feel whatever is right. I stuck to a smaller one just because I felt like a bigger one would hold too much water, as my bigger ones usually do. So this one felt like I wouldn't have the same problems as I normally do when I have been experimenting with gouache, where I water it down too much and then it's a little weird and I start getting very weird with it. Here, like I purposely was watering down for the background itself just because I wanted to keep it lighter and simple and not as intense. It was a little hard to figure out what color I would actually make the background just because it's Spider-Man, even because, you know, he's got basically all the primary colors right there. And I thought just purple would be not as great. At first, when I was looking at this, it did not really feel very complete. Like, it felt very kind of all over the place. But I assumed once I got the line art, because I was going to definitely add it, it would definitely feel more finished. So I just went with my usual go-to of inking with acrylic ink. I thought that would probably be the best medium, and also figure using a brush as well for the ink would work really well. I don't think I've tried felt tip pens much on gouache. I'm sure it would work just fine, but it's nice to have the dimensionality, and I did want to be able to increase the line weight itself without having to switch to different thickness of felt tip pens. The liner brush can be quite fun, and also I definitely wasn't not as I normally am with it, trying trying too hard to make the most perfect clean lines, because I did want this to be a little bit more of a fun scrappy piece, I guess you could call it, and something with, I guess, more character. When it's your sketchbook, it is important to, you know, just have fun with it and just experiment more. And I probably have said this before, but it's definitely something I too often forget about, and then I get too uptight about a lot of my line work and a lot of the painting I'm doing. So then this was very freeing in a sense, that I was most relaxed using gouache actually in this piece than I have been when trying gouache in a long time. And even line work as well. Now, at least for Spider-Man, the great thing is, because he's wearing a mask, it's a little bit harder to, you know, screw up the face and make it ugly kind of deal, right? It's not like the best kind of like eye holes to Spider-Man either, but for anyone else that does Spider-Man fan art ever, does anybody else just like keep a reference open just to count the number of lines on his mask at the very least? I happen to do it just because I find I can easily get a little bit lost if I haven't like sketched in all the lines, and it's just a lot easier to follow exactly the amount for the reference. In this case, for the spider itself, I kind of mashed a bunch of compilations of ideas together in this, and just like quickly like kind of, I think there is like a little bit of a sketch there I did on top that I didn't record with like a pencil crayon, just to lightly have some idea. But yeah, the shape is kind of a mishmash of like different ones, and I think the overall suit is like more trying to be more towards a classic, nothing in no particular one. So, a spoiler alert for the next video, I'm definitely going to be doing another Spider-Man painting. If I happen to sketch and record or paint and record some other drawing, then it will actually be different, and I'll just like sort of space it out to be like the next one then. Just because I have kind of a lot going on and trying to like juggle a lot of things I need to get done, and some plans also coming up that require more brain power and attention. So yeah, I don't know if I will have another thing other than Spider-Man up again, so I hope you don't mind Spider-Man twice in a row if it happens, if you keep up and watch all my videos. And if you do, thank you so much. And this sketch session is complete. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're inspired. See you next time.